Boom. That was
damn
a little excessive. We're live right now. We're going to do some discuss some topics about the Ottawa Senators, how they did tonight against the Rangers, and we'll be doing anyone who entered the contest for the card giveaway. We'll be doing that as well, giving that away or pulling the winner, I should say. That's that. But we'll kick things off. So the Sens played the Rangers tonight, as everyone's well aware. Sadly, did not go the Sens' way. Stützle had that beauty top shelf goal, but after that, there wasn't a whole lot that went right for the Sens. Gustafsson looked pretty on point for the most part.
Yeah.
You really can't blame him for that second goal, which just like labeled the top shelf. That was nasty. But what are some of your takeaways from tonight's game?
Well, the water in the CTC washrooms is still freezing, so that's a positive. I mean, the offense was pretty mediocre. Stützle getting that one right off the hop. I was really surprised he beat Shesterkin that quickly, but it was a really good shot. Best player probably was Stützle. Brandstrom played really well as well. Gustafsson made some really clutch saves when they needed it. That first goal was just fluky, expecting a point shot to come through, get stopped at a defenseman's skate, pops out to the winger in front of the net, and they get an easy goal. But that's one that it never really happens until it actually happens. And then, Panarin gets free reign to just walk in on that power play. And, he's not going to miss that. And any NHL goalie is going to have trouble stopping that one. So all in all, Gustafsson once again shows us he can compete in the NHL, no problem. And it makes Forsberg still a tradable asset. I wasn't able to watch the question period, but it sounds like they're going to, hold on to Forsberg and then not extend him. I don't know if I agree with that. It doesn't really make sense, especially when there are teams around the league that are really looking for goaltending help. But it is what it is. He had a good game yesterday. Gustafsson had a good game this game. It's interesting to be able to see what your goalies can do when you have, the defense wasn't really the problem tonight. Josh Brown played solid. He had some weird pinches and weird plays, but he was fine. Zaitsev wasn't god awful. Mete wasn't god awful. They just played averagely. And averagely, they played as well as they could. And, the Brandstrom Zub line really shined. Brandstrom does so many little things well that make him so good. His passing is exceptional. He's such a good defenseman. And I'm really, really glad that DJ is giving him more of an opportunity. And, now that's happening, we get to see him really flourish with a solid defenseman like Zub.
Yeah, and Brandstrom has looked really good. I was at the Boston Bruins game in person, and man, he had a couple really good stops against a couple of Bruins forwards. I think the first one was Taylor Hall, when Taylor Hall flew into Forsberg in the net. I think that if Brandstrom doesn't really pressure him on the puck there, he doesn't lose his balance. He gets a clean shot at Forsberg. So I thought that was really nice. And I can't remember who it was in, I believe, the third period. But there was another Bruins player who got in on the breakaway, and Brandstrom was able to hustle back and essentially hit the player's stick, knock the puck away. And I thought that was a great defensive effort. And having two of those in one game is pretty solid. And then, you can't even ignore his presence in the offensive end, where he didn't get any points, but he just looks good in the offensive zone. So that's what you want to see from a young defenseman. And that's why I don't buy this stuff that he can't be a regular NHL defenseman. I haven't seen.
I'm not sure where that's coming. Well, actually, I know where that's coming from. It's coming from Simmer. The guy doesn't I mean, he's mostly the big proponent. I know Mathot isn't a huge fan of his size, but like he's more skilled than they give him credit for, and it's consistently showing off. Like he can power play quarterback, no problem. Like there was not an issue tonight. Like he was moving the puck really well. He had this one really nifty play in the second period that made me go like, oh wow, that's, he waited with the puck just long enough to bait the defender and got it off to the winger, and the winger got a nice shot off. But it's little things like that. And at what point does this guy need to, like, what else does he need to do? Like, sure, if he grows 4 inches, like, then they won't have a problem with him, but that's not going to happen. So you appreciate the game that he's able to provide. Him and Zub were money. So, like, at what point can you just, like, let the guy do his thing, Oh,
100%. And it kind of, that's why it kind of surprises me, because the only thing I've heard people knock on his game is that, well, it's not even his game. It's that he's like, what, 5'9"? But it actually,
like, I think he's listed at 5'11", maybe. But I think he's
kind of varies.
5'9".
Yeah, some places have him listed as like 5'10", and I know sometimes people on the radio say that he's like 5'7", and his height just constantly changes. I guess he just grows like every day. But
not a lot of consistency there.
No, but if the only thing you can knock on him is his size is just weird to me. Like, you look at Sam Girard, and I know some people complain about how he does in the playoffs, but to me, that's like a very good comparable. And if you can have a guy like that on your bottom pairing, playing with a defensively responsible player, whoever that may be in the Sens' future, that is a very solid pairing. Like, hypothetically, if like Holden Brandstrom next season was your bottom pairing, and Brandstrom also got second power play unit time, that would look great in my opinion. And if you had like Shabbat, Zub, and then Sanderson and somebody on the right side, maybe through trade or free agency, I think then that lineup starts to really shape up and look pretty swell.
Or you play Brandstrom on his offside.
That too.
I mean, he was playing his offside with Shabbat, and he looked good there. Like, I'm also been more hesitant with the idea of slotting Sanderson at that two second pair slot, simply because, like, the guy's going to be brand new to the NHL. Odds are, he's going to come in and be a very good defenseman, but you don't want to rush him too much. So him playing that third pair, give him a solid D partner like Holden.
I was going to say that I think Holden would be perfect for him.
Exactly.
A guy who's been in deep playoff runs, who has a ton of experience, seems like a great guy.
And isn't bad. Like, he's not bad.
No.
Whereas, like, we've had guys that have to play with crappy veteran defensemen because that's who we have. Yeah. I love the idea of playing Sanderson with Holden simply because, Holden is a good veteran. He makes good plays, and Sanderson can be the offensive side of it. I mean, I know Holden's on a bit of a offensive tear recently. I as I said, I'm a little hesitant to pencil Sanderson in, just like second pairing, no questions asked. But he's going to be a hell of a player. There's no need to like rush him in any way.
No, that's definitely true. But I don't know. I could see him being a bottom pairing defenseman this season, just to acclimate him to the NHL. Yeah. But next season, I don't know. Depending on his camp, we'll see. But I could see him slotting into that top 4 spot and just running with it for the season. I mean, if he's getting destroyed or what have you, then fine, bump him back down.
Yeah.
But I think next season he could be your second pairing left defenseman. So
and that's kind of the thing. Like, you're not expecting. I mean, me personally, I don't really want to see Lassie Thompson or JBD come up again, because like I want them to get the playoff experience in Belleville. Like, I want them to be the guys down there. Right. I'd rather them call up like Michael Del Sotto
And I forgot he's even in the organization. Like,
yeah,
he's just there.
It's wild. Like he's been really good in the AHL. Obviously, he's a guy that you if he's going to be down there and they're going to go on a playoff run, like that's somebody who you want to keep down there. I don't see our defense looking much different this other than, Chabot coming back into the lineup and then probably Mete going out. And Mete didn't have a bad game either. Like he played pretty solid. So, if there's a market for Mete at the deadline, you do that, obviously. But I just want to see our young guys be able to develop a little more, not have to worry about coming up, playing the NHL game, and getting caved in. Like Lassie was playing quite well, but JBD he's not ready. He's not ready to be up here in the NHL.
No, he has
he has flashes.
I personally think if you put him on like a third pairing, I think he'd be fine. But when he was up with the club, they were playing him with Chabot, and I think that is that's a whole different tasking that you're giving a young player. Lassie Thompson, yeah, for sure, he looked more comfortable, but I don't want to omit the games where Lassie Thompson also saw himself every now and then, getting caved or getting beat, just because of his lack of experience, and that's fine. I think with Lassie Thompson and JBD, you have a bright future on the right side. I hope that they can find either a trade partner or buy out Zaitsev this summer, because he had an assist tonight, I think, on that Stutzle goal, but I just don't think he really adds anything. He rarely chimes in on offense.
Yeah.
He doesn't really provide much on defense. I don't know. So
I don't see Zaitsev being at all in the cards next year. He's a guy that's going to be sitting on your bench, and that's kind of it if he's still with the club.
Yeah.
Ideally, he's gone. It was a bad trade to begin with. I mean, I'm glad we have Connor Brown. Connor Brown is on a point, I think a 60-point pace this season, which he's never been on, which is awesome. I just feel bad because, frankly, he has to play with Tierney and Paul a lot, and the gap between Paul and Connor Brown is quite significant, and then the drop off between Paul and Tierney is just atrocious.
Yeah. At least there were times tonight where Tierney actually handled the puck, but then nothing happened.
And then there were other times that he just flubbed it.
Yeah. Well, when I was at the game yesterday against Boston, I don't know. I think I made a joke tweet about it, or maybe. No, I don't think it was yesterday, but it was a few games ago. But I basically said, Tierney touches the puck I would touch my alarm going off in the morning. It's you're your hand over there, and you're oh, where's my phone? Pull up your phone, and you're trying to shut off your alarm or snooze it or whatever. Yeah, that's what Tierney does for the most part when he touches the puck. And I hope there's a taker at the trade deadline. It'd be great. But I don't think the Sens will get much for him. At the end of the day, I guess I'm not trying to say the worst part, but it's not the worst thing to come of it if you get a 5th round pick for him or something like that, because he's just another piece of the Karlsson trade who you've already gotten worse and Stutzle out of. So I don't think there's really much you can complain about just getting a mid-late pick for him. I don't know. And the Sens might even have to retain salary. I doubt they would want to, but they might, right? Just because he's making more real dollars than his cap hit is this year. So I could see the Sens maybe having to take some money back, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll move on then. So we were just talking about kind of the depth and injuries have really played a factor in the Sens' depth. So Toronto makes that trade for the Arizona defenseman, who I could try pronouncing his last name. I think Labushkin. Okay, perfect. I'm glad you said it. But immediately because of their cap salary issues, they put Dzingel on waivers. Now, if the Sens this past offseason, people have said, well, they didn't sign him in the offseason. Why would they pick him up on waivers now? Well, I think in the offseason, you didn't expect to have Pinto, Batherson, Norris, White, Shabbat, I know is a defenseman, but have all these players out with injury. And Dzingel knows the organization well. He would fit in on like a power play. He's still got speed. He's not got the same offensive capabilities as he had in his first stint with Ottawa, but hey, third time's the charm maybe. Do you think the Sens should pick him up on waivers just to have some depth until some of the key guys are back?
Honestly, no. I think you kind of just ride this one out. Like, if they're looking to add a depth piece on that fourth line or something, like, I'd really much prefer they bring up a young guy like Kostelic. I think Kostelic was actually really solid when he was up. Or, I mean, I don't ideally want to see Sokolov in a fourth line role, but I'd prefer to give those guys a better shot than having to go out and get Dzingel. I will say though, like, tonight's game, you saw the glaring depth issues, and not even depth issues, but like their bottom six can't produce anything. Like, just seeing Austin Watson like just flub the puck all the time. Zach Sanford is such a streaky guy, and he's in such a weird phase right now. And Gambrell is kind of the same deal. Like, they're fourth line grinders at best, but I don't know. Dzingel just doesn't do much for me. Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to counter you.
Yeah, do it.
I think the Sens should pick him up, and the only reason why I'm going to support that is because the Sens are going to be looking to move out some of these players, right? And for Dorion, if you want to move out some players and you just purely want picks back and you don't want to have to take like a warm body back, as they say, if you pick up Dzingel, and then that gives you more flexibility on flipping out Sanford, because then you know that you have a guy who can at least slot into that position. You're not going to take time away from a younger guy because you're just literally one guy out, one guy in. I personally think, again, with his familiarity with the organization, he's super cheap. He signed with Arizona on a 1-year, $1.1 million deal. So the Sens would be paying him even less, like I think a third of the salary that he was being paid last season when they traded for him.
Yeah.
I personally don't think it's a very low risk move to just pick him up, slot him in your lineup. Like I said, trade Sanford out or potentially someone else. I don't know. And it's also a guy who I think he has some experience and he can help mentor some of the younger guys too. Like, Sanford to me doesn't seem like a very vocal guy or a guy who exudes much leadership. Yeah. And I don't think he's that happy being with the Sens.
No, I don't think he is either.
Yeah, just from his comments last week, basically feeling like he hasn't really had a consistent role with the team. To me, that's not exactly the best thing. And I'm not trying to crap.
Bro, get good,
Yeah, but like, that's the thing. Like, he has offensive skill, but he just doesn't use it all the time, or at least I don't know. It's just really weird. And it's kind of like Michael Del Zotto. Like, I'm sure if the Sens found a taker on his contract, he'd be gone in a jiffy, because like his comments and his likes on like Instagram of Mete getting burned or whatever, that kind of stuff. It's just, I don't think you really want that around an organization that's still so young.
Yeah.
And then, that's really my reasoning. And I think he has more to offer than Sanford when it comes to effort level. I don't think he has the same offensive flashes that Sanford has, but he has enough to get stuff done. He's almost like a Formenton light, So.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair. And one of the things that I kind of found odd was Formenton wasn't getting to play with Goodette, or wasn't getting to play with Stützle or Tkachuk. And like, I kind of get the thought behind spreading the wealth a little bit in your top six, but God, just when your best line could be, Formenton, Stützle, and Tkachuk, and then the rest is like the island of lost toys. It's brutal. I can see your point about Dzingel. I think it would make sense. I don't really see it. I don't think Dorian's going to be shipping out guys just to get like a 7th rounder at this point. Like, I don't know. His comments just made me think it's not in the cards. Simply because, he doesn't want to be seen as a seller anymore. Like, and
he said if he didn't think players had a future with the organization, then he'd flip them out for assets. So it's not like he's saying he's not going to trade any of the pending UFAs. I think he will. Like, I personally think Tierney maybe he won't be traded, but I think Tierney, Sanford, Ennis, I think they'll probably keep. Like, they could probably get
I love Ennis
mid-round pick for him, but I think they'll just keep him because there's no point in flipping him out when you want him back next year.
Out of those three, out of any of our restricted free or unrestricted or restricted free agents, that aren't big names, obviously, like Ennis just brings so much to the table. He's clearly like a good team guy. He was one of the most noticeable guys on the ice tonight, and generally speaking is one of the most noticeable guys. I think that's a guy you should be bringing back. And like, I hope they do. I hope they keep him and then offer him like a legit 2-year contract or something like that to play in your bottom 6. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, Tierney and Sanford should be out the door. If you can find a suitor for Victor Mete, go for it.
If somehow,
absolutely.
That Edmonton, I don't know if they were a writer for The Athletic or just a beat reporter, but just like, like Josh Brown might be the kind of guy that Edmonton needs on their back end, and I'm like, sure, you know what? Yeah, we'll take a 4th round pick for him. Like
that brings up an interesting like point that I've been sort of thinking about. How much does it resonate with you, you personally, and like anybody watching, when a reporter or like a on TV personality like knows what they're, I know this sounds hilarious, but like knows what they're talking about. Do you remember how many times during this season everybody has been like, oh, well, Stützle's defensive game is still a detriment, and he's putting up exceptional advanced metrics on the defensive side of things. Like, that goes a long way, in my opinion. And, whenever you see, like we were just talking about this beforehand, like when Anson Carter was saying things about the Minnesota Wild, and like Michael Russo, came in and was like, hey, what you're saying is like wrong. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't know what you're talking about because you don't watch the Wild. Like, it's understandable, but like when you're saying stuff like this, you need to come and collect, because, people are going to call you out for it if you don't understand. I found that
Kevin Bieksa talking about Shabbat.
Exactly. Like, stuff like that. Like, when you're having an opinion that's getting put out to millions of people and you don't know what you're talking about, it just it really drops the credibility of your broadcast or like your media or whatever. And I found that with, people on TSN as well as Sportsnet. I mean, like, Gary Galley has been terrible. Just having to listen to that guy talk about the Sens is atrocious. And, even Darren Dreger has said things where I'm just like, bro, do you know what you're talking about? And I know we're totally getting off topic of the whole Dzingel thing, but it's a live stream. Let's talk about stuff. I just find like when an on-air personality knows what they're talking about, like does their homework, it goes a long way. And I've found, like, for the Sens particularly, they don't really know what they're talking about. And this is sometimes people that are, should be watching games every night because they're doing Sens broadcasts or whatever. And, doesn't happen.
definitely. And
that's my diatribe.
Honestly, it's kind of a little bit hits on what you were just talking about with reporters or analysts.
That was a good segue.
Some of their comments and when you're like, do you watch the Sens? And one of those is Frank Saravelli, and he was talking. He basically had a list of players that he thought were potentially on the move for the Ottawa Senators, and he had Artem Zub listed there, and I was like, what? Because in my mind, there is absolutely no way the Ottawa Senators, with the inconsistencies they've had on the blue line over the last few years, at minimum, if not longer, there's no way that they trade Artem Zub out unless it is like a first round pick and a prospect. And even then, like if I'm Dorion, I'm just like, no, Zub's untouchable because he just does so much in his own end. And he still has the ability to move the puck, and he also has the ability to chime in on offense if necessary. Like it's not all the time. He doesn't get power play minutes, but he's able to feed the puck to people, which is what you need in a defenseman. So it kind of makes me wish that the Sens had signed Zub to a longer contract extension. I think like a 4-year deal would have been nice at like 4.5. It is what it is. I'm just hoping that next season, as soon as the season rolls around or the summer rolls around and he's in the last year of his deal, I hope Dorion starts talking to his agent and works something out quick because
unless Zub is very unhappy, which frankly, like I doubt, he's been getting to Frank. He gets to play with, some of the best defensemen. Nick Holden has been his partner a lot, and apparently they get along quite well. But he was also playing with Shabbat and now Brandstrom. He doesn't have to get stapled to Josh Brown or Zaitsev because he plays the right side. Yeah. But unless he's unhappy, this is one of the very few good pro scouting moves Dorion's team has been able to do. I don't think they're going to be letting this one go for a long time. Like I could see Zub finishing his career as a Senator. Yes, because he found him. Like he made a good find in Russia, and now is going to he's going to quadruple down, sign a 4-year deal. You're absolutely right. It is really frustrating because I saw a similar type of post a couple weeks ago, and I sent it in our group chat, and I was like, this person has no idea what they're talking about, because if they did, they would know how invaluable Zub is to the team, because his defensive play is everything you want in a defenseman. And he's probably one of the most consistent defensemen, defensive defensemen league wide. And I just, it's so frustrating when, names are going on in the media and stuff, but then, Frank Saravelli, who basically ruined the expansion draft this past year. When somebody like that says something, and it's just kind of,
floats it out there.
Yeah, it just floats it out there. It just it gets under your skin, because we've had to go through this so much, and I feel like losing Zub would be a big thing for a lot of fans.
Oh yeah. Just go to a game. Whenever he touches the puck, everyone's like, Zub,
Yeah. It's one of the only fan engaging things that happens at games right now. Shout outs to DJ Prosper. He was on tonight. He was unreal.
He loves getting the hype train going for sure.
Yeah, my girlfriend was like, he's been the best part. And I was like, honestly, yeah, he's been phenomenal. But whenever Zub touched the puck, it was going on. And the fans love him. I feel like the coach loves him. Unless he hates it in Ottawa, there's not a chance he's going anywhere.
No, especially when Ben Sherratt is apparently, or allegedly anyway, going to get the Habs a first-round pick, a prospect, and I don't know. But if Ben Sherratt gets the Habs a prospect, a first, and potentially a late pick, I will be flabbergasted, for lack of a better word. And if Sherratt is able to net something like that, then Zub, you'd be like, okay, well then I want like a first, a second, and a good prospect. Because like it's ridiculous that Sherratt's value is apparently that high just because he played deep in the playoffs last year. Like, if that's the case, then Nick Holden should be worth that, because Nick Holden had a great playoff run with Vegas and been better than Sherratt this year. So it blows my mind that
like one of my buddies, Liam Nallen, he's hilarious on Twitter. You should follow him. He's like, if the Habs get a first and a prospect for Ben Sherratt, like that's what's wild. I thought the Toffoli trade was a bit of an overpay. He said, like Toffoli's a good player. You're going to have to pay for it, which is fair.
I honestly, the more I think about that trade, I actually think it's kind of even, because Calgary's not paying for a rental. They're going to have him, if they want, for another 2 seasons at like just over $4 million. So I actually think that in like short-term hindsight, it actually is more even than I think initially I thought it was.
Yeah, I have to agree there. And so the fact that like Ben Sherratt could be getting a first and a prospect is mind-boggling, because on a good team, Ben Sherratt should be your third pairing defenseman. That's it. Like if Ben Sherratt's on the Rangers, for example, he's a third pairing defenseman. Also, Adam Fox is so good. Like being able to watch Adam Fox in person he's incredible. And same with Shesterkin. Shesterkin is like, I hate the fact that the Rangers just went from like God tier Lundqvist, and they're like, okay, have a good one, Hank. We love you. Insert Igor Shesterkin.
Who's like, played even better than Lundqvist played at his peak with the Rangers.
Like, well, I don't know if I'd say that, but like,
well, like season-wide save percentage though, he has a higher save percentage over this season than Lundqvist had over his best season with the Rangers. But
I didn't. Okay, that's wild.
Coming into tonight's game against the Sens, Shesterkin was 10-1-1 in his last 12 starts.
Oh, dude, there's somebody put up an insane, like, I know this is now like a Shesterkin jerk off sesh, but somebody put up a insane stat where like Shesterkin has played 200 games, in the KHL and now in the NHL, in the last like 4 years. He's lost like 40 games.
Which is ridiculous.
He is unequivocally like one of the best goalies I've ever seen play. He is so calm and so collected. Like the way he activates his hands once the play is coming, it's so impressive, because he's just like on. And then once it's out of the zone, he does his thing. He also wears like a hairband when he plays.
Oh, does he?
Just like like a plastic hairband. Kind of puts it back here so it sits under his goalie helmet. But like the guy's so cool.
He's also just got a load of confidence, like going for that empty netter. I got to give him kudos for that. I'm glad he didn't score it, because I did not want that to be on a highlight reel for like the next, I don't know how
20
many
years. He was so good, and then that happens. I was like,
no.
I cheered when he didn't score. But
okay, we'll talk about one more topic, and then we'll do the giveaway winner, and then we'll finish a couple more topics. So the next one we're going to get to is about Anton Forsberg. So speaking about goalies, we'll switch to one of Ottawa's. So Anton Forsberg's been pretty damn good for the Sens this season. Definitely helped them in December when they were just coming back from COVID. A lot of guys returning the roster, not really having their feet fully under them. Forsberg stands on his head quite a bit. And now you see the Sens, and their first 20 games this season, they had 4 wins. Since then, they've been about 500, which I'll take it, honestly, with how the season started. But anyway, so the Sens kind of find themselves, I wouldn't say in a conundrum, but what to do with Anton Forsberg. Should they trade him? Should they re-sign him? Or should they just let him walk as a UFA? So I'll pose that question to you. I know you're our resident goalie expert. What do you think the Sens should do with Forsberg?
We have three of 4 people on like the Senstennial team are goalies.
Yeah, that's true.
I think I've just been playing the longest.
Yeah.
You got to trade him. Like he's not going to be coming back. Gustafsson is on a one-way deal next year. So it just kind of makes sense. Forsberg has been excellent. As we've said, like he gives up a crappy goal here and there, but like, what does he look like in Edmonton? Like you gotta you gotta wonder if Edmonton kicks tires on him, because they did sign him last year, and then they just couldn't house him on their taxi squad.
Edmonton signed him? I thought it was Winnipeg.
It was Edmonton.
Really?
He was on Edmonton, and then he went to Winnipeg.
Okay.
And then he went. Well, I think he went somewhere else, then Winnipeg, then
went
Ottawa.
To Carolina, then Winnipeg, then Ottawa.
So, like, and Koskinen is crap in the bed. Smith, crap in the bed. Like, they're down 4 something tonight, right now. And what I saw,
think they did win their last 4 games. Like, they were undefeated under their new coach, but your point still stands. They do need a goaltender.
Yeah. And like, frankly, like, they just need saves. Like, and Forsberg comes in and gets them some, in my opinion. I don't think Forsberg is your long-term option, but you have to kick tires on every option if you're Edmonton. And frankly, if Dorion is comfortable letting him walk at the end of the season, because I just don't see them re-signing him, that would be a mistake. Like, if he has no future with the organization, and the guy actually had value, like, I think he's sitting at a .916 save percentage this year because of that resurgence he had in January, December to January. You have to do something with that, and Edmonton just seems like the foregone option.
I think Edmonton, or maybe even Washington. Although from what I've heard, Washington has been looking at what Chicago wants to do with Fleury and what Fleury would like to do with his own future. Because obviously with a guy like Fleury, he has a lot of weight in what he wants to do, what happens in his career. So anyway, the rumors out there are that once Fleury either decides that he's staying put for the entire season, or basically gets traded to whichever contender can take on his contract, or a 3-way trade to retain salary somewhere, and then he goes to another team, then I think the goalie market will be on hold. But yeah, if Fleury makes a decision or gets traded, whatever his future is, I think then that's when teams will start calling about Anton Forsberg, because he's cheap. Like, Edmonton needs a goalie who can provide them with solid games on a more consistent basis. And Forsberg is so cheap, and I think his value, like, I'm not sure how much the average backup goalie is being paid in the league, but I'm sure they're getting paid like at least a couple $1 million more than Forsberg's being paid. So yeah, I think it's a no-brainer for Edmonton to at least call on him.
Yeah, if Forsberg can net you a 5th or even a 4th, considering how well he has been playing, and you don't do that, like, you're nuts. Yeah. Like, you're not doing your team a service in the future. Like, yes, I know that 4th-round picks don't get you, like, probably won't turn out, but you can flip that pick with another set of picks or a prospect for a solid player.
I honestly think he could get more than a 4th. I think at, like, minimum the Sens could get a 3rd-round pick for him, but all right, so do you want to do the winner for the card giveaway, the Stützle card giveaway?
Sure. I mean, why not? Right. I got my trusty ball cap here.
I got all the names ready?
I got all the names in there.
All right, so dope.
I'm just going to swoosh it up a little bit. I'm going to look at you. All right. Here we go. And the winner of the 2020-21 2021. Upper Deck, Green Dazzlers, Tim Stutzla card is...
Do you have the card on you?
Yeah, it's just over here.
Oh, good. Get it. You got to show that baby off before you show the name. Come on.
The winner of this beautiful card, like when the light hits it, it dazzles. The winner is...
I can't read
Chris
that.
P.
Oh, Chris P. Chris P's been following the channel for a while here.
Yeah. I think he's been one of our longtime listeners. Yeah, he's been supportive the whole time. So Chris, congratulations on your new Tim Stutzla Dazzlers card. We will message you on a platform
of your choosing.
If you're watching this, please, maybe hit us up in the YouTube chat. If not, we'll figure something out. But yes, thank you to everybody that entered. I think one of the really cool things, Matt, as we were talking about, is we just hit 50 subscribers on our YouTube channel, which is pretty awesome. Like that's wicked.
For a small pod, I'll take it.
Yeah, and we love what we do. We really enjoy just creating some Senators content, whether it's on Twitter or on YouTube, or we obviously make a podcast, so that's on a lot of different stuff. But one of the things that we're considering is doing a little more weekly content for our YouTube channel that people can.
Thanks, Liam. Appreciate it. No, Liam just chimed in saying make it 51 subscribers.
Oh,
thanks,
love
Liam.
that. Yeah, thanks, Liam. That's amazing. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna be doing a little more content that we think is gonna connect with fans a little more, and I mean, not our fans. I mean, Sens fans, but maybe our fans, because we all love the Ottawa Senators. That's why we're all doing it. And who knows, like I have a whole slew of cards that, maybe I can give away at some point.
The whole deck.
Yeah, no, the whole deck. It's like freaking $500 worth of Senators cards. And people are just like, oh yeah, I'll take that. RT.
Full flex right there.
Well, I mean, you got to do what you got to do.
We still got to talk about.
I know.
Dorion.
Go for it.
At the Wild game. Yep. 2 Wild games in person.
Ooh.
And the Sens play the Minnesota Wild on Tuesday night. We got to talk about that. So, who do you think? And obviously, Kevin Fiala's name's been floated out a lot, so we can talk about Fiala. That totally makes sense. But do you think that they're looking at anybody else?
That's a good question.
Sorry to chime in one more. PEI Senators, thanks so much. I really appreciate that, dude. That means a lot to us, so thank you.
Yeah, PEI Senators. Yeah, where on the island are you from? I've only been to PEI once. I was there for a couple days. It was a lovely place. It's wonderful. Yeah. In the Maritimes, any Maritime Senators fan, we love you. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Really appreciate that. But on to the discussion about Dorion and the Wild and all that. We're just getting sentimental over here. I think Kevin Fiala is like the obvious target because I don't think they like each other. Like Fiala, from what I understand, Fiala kind of wants to move on from the Wild, and I know they don't really love his demeanor as well, because Kevin Fiala is a confident guy. Charlottetown, but lives in BC. Where in BC? Let us know. The Fiala thing, like, he's a very confident player. He came into the league, loving being a good player, and like, he is a good player. So, and he was so hot, last season and, the end of the season before. And he obviously is kind of the guy you would expect, but what if
they're
looking at a right defenseman in Matt Dumba?
Oh, you're taking my talking point. What the hell?
Well, I mean,
was
great minds think alike. Go
oh, man.
hit it up. What are you thinking?
Okay, so hear me out. Okay, I haven't actually thought of a proper trade proposal. I was debating making like a separate video just on what would the Sens and Wild, what kind of trade could they put together. But it's hard because I do want to make it fair for both teams. And obviously, being a Senators fan, I'm biased, right? I would love a Dumba. Yo, we would love a Dumba too. Okay, so this is my dream scenario. Okay, the Senators say, Dorian said he wants to have the team ready to go next season. So what do you do to have the team ready to go? You acquire a top 6 forward and a top 4 defenseman in the same trade. How do you do that? Okay. I sound like I'm doing like a ShamWow commercial.
Yeah, you are doing ShamWow
right here. So essentially, I think exactly. So I think they'll need. I would do the 2023 Sens first round pick. Do a top 10 protected, lottery protected, whatever. I think top 10 protected is fine. A lot of teams are doing that now. I don't think it hinders the trade at all. So you throw in your first round pick. The Senators have 2 second round picks this year. So I think you'd throw in ideally Tampa Bay's second rounder because that's almost a third rounder anyway. So you throw in Tampa Bay's second rounder. And then I would do you need to throw in a good prospect, and people are not going to like this, but I think you have to include one of either Lassie Thompson or JBD in that trade. So now you have a first, a second, JBD or Lassie Thompson.
So a first there. So you have 2 firsts, essentially.
Essentially a well-respected prospect. So yeah, JBD and Lassie Thompson, both first-round picks. One of those 2 guys I think will have to be in that deal. And then I think you do need to put a roster player, but an affordable one, because they're going to have a large cap hit for the next like 3 seasons, I think, because of the Parise and Suter buyouts. Yeah. So I haven't really thought of which forward roster player that they would want to take, but someone who is valuable, but like not a high-end valuable player. Like we're not talking someone of Tim Stützle's caliber, but just some roster.
I mean, odds are like it could look like Connor Brown.
Yeah, that's possible.
Like obviously,
yeah, it's possible. But yeah, okay, we'll just put it in perspective. So Fiala this season has 37 points in 46 games. Nothing to scoff at. He's also 25. He's getting close to 26, but he's 25 at the moment.
Looking at a restricted free agent at the end of the season.
Yeah. Looking at Connor Brown has 25 points in 34 games. He is 28 already, but he's a very solid depth forward, and he's got the offensive skill. He's got the defensive skill, but I think that ideally he's your third liner, right? He's not a second line guy.
Yeah.
Now I wouldn't want to trade Connor Brown in that deal, but I could understand Wild fans wanting him. But I think you're gonna even Colin White might be interesting. If I think the Sens might have to, I would say retain, but if you're getting Dumba and Fiala back, I know Fiala is a restricted free agent, but he made $5 million.
He's making 5.1, I think.
And Dumba's making 6. So you're taking $11 million on, hypothetically, in cap, or future cap, depending on if Fiala re-signs with the Sens for $5 million over term. Yeah. But yeah, I think that salary goes out if you give them Colin White. He's a reclamation project right now. That could be included too. I personally think he does have value. Maybe the Wild think differently. Maybe they think the same. But yeah, I'm going to say like a first, second. We'll say Colin White for now. One of JBD or Lassie Thompson, and potentially like a 4th rounder or something. Another pick just to give them like a little cherry on top or something. But
yeah, I think you're sort of in the right stratosphere. Dumba and Fiala are going to both probably fetch first round picks. So that's where you have to get at least one first for each of those guys. If the first is a pick, then you do the 2023 one. Or you don't have to give up that top prospect, and it's this year's one, and it's top 10 protected. Yeah. But realistically, you do the 2023 pick, you do JBD or Lassie, You're probably going to have to throw in another prospect. And I don't know who that looks like.
Possibly Yarventi. I don't really know what they think of Ottawa's prospect system.
Yeah.
I think Greg and Sanderson should be Ottawa's only two untouchable prospects.
Yeah.
I think
Yarventi, like, to me, is sort of getting into that stratosphere, but like I'd trade Sokolov over Yarventi. That's just me. Yep.
Okay.
Well, there's almost 3 years difference.
That's true as well.
Yeah.
So PI Center says that he thinks Fiala would want too much on his next deal. That's a possibility. I really don't see Fiala getting more than like $6 million on a new deal. I can't see it. Like, he's a good player. He's a very good player, but 37 points in 46 games. He's not exactly a point per game forward. He's quite a good forward. I think with Tim Stützle, they would be phenomenal together, especially if the Sens went out and signed Kuzmenko. But that's still a wait and see, because we got to wait for the KHL season to finish. But I think they could make it work, especially hypothetically if Colin White was the one on his way out in a potential deal. I think that the money could work. We'll see.
Yeah.
But that's definitely something to consider. So I totally get that perspective. But yeah.
Think it out more and then, do that video.
We'll have to see. But if you could roll back next season and have a blue line of Shabbat, Zub, Sanderson, Dumba, and Brandstrom, Holden, oh man, that looks way better.
With it.
That looks way better.
That's three good pairings.
Yeah, and then if anybody gets injured, you have one of Thompson or JBD to call up, because one of them would be going back in my hypothetical trade. So yeah. But yeah, that's really all I had for the Minnesota Wild. I guess you and I were both having the same mindset on them. So
yeah.
I was looking at their roster. Like, for example, I saw some people say, well, what about Hartman? Because Hartman has 35 points in 46 games.
I think he's just like kind of resurging, but they're just different players. Like, I think Fiala is a guy who drives his own play, whereas Hartman, might be playing with Kaprizov.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is the Minnesota Wild are going to want their best, like, bang for their buck players. I think they're going to want to hang on to Ryan Hartman.
Yeah.
The one other player who I thought the Sens might be interested in is a guy like Marcus Foligno. He's another guy who I think DJ Smith would love to have in the system.
Yeah.
It's true. Like, he's your rough and tumble guy. He's good enough defensively. He can put points on the board. He's physical. I think he's only like, what, 27, 28? Oh, he's actually 30.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
could see that being a DJ Smith-esque player. But I don't think that's the route the Sens should go. I don't think they need
me neither.
Rough and tumble. I think they need more high-end skill.
Yeah.
And I think Fiala provides that. So
yeah.
And Fiala's just 5 years younger.
Yeah. That's a big one.
So we'll see on that front. The last topic we were going to touch on today, because we talked about Brandstrom earlier, so we won't touch on Brandstrom again because we've already tooted his horn a little bit tonight, but we'll talk about which Sens players we think are going to get moved at the deadline and what we think the Sens will get back from them. We've kind of touched on this a little bit throughout the live stream tonight, but I just kind of wanted to see if we could maybe get a little bit more specific rather than general. We could see this guy going, but not really saying what they could go for. So I have Cap Friendly pulled up just to remind myself which guys are actually expiring this year on their deals.
Yeah.
So let's pull that bad boy up. Okay, so expiring this year, you have Chris Tierney.
I'd probably say for like a 6th round pick.
Okay.
6 or maybe a 5th, maybe, because he's a center. But I can't imagine a pro scout actually watching him and be like, well, there's the upside. Like, we could give a 4th or a 3rd for it. Like, I don't see that happening.
I'm with you. I think he's a mid to late round draft pick. So I'll say anywhere from a 5th to a 7th round pick. Then we got Zach Sanford. So I'll kick this one off. I think solely because Zach Sanford has won a Stanley Cup recently, a couple of years ago. I think he's still regarded around the league as a player who has won a cup, knows what it takes to win, that kind of GM mentality. And aside from that, I think that they might look at the Sens and be like, well, yeah, he wouldn't have played as well in the Ottawa Senators. They don't have as much high-end skill for him to play with, or whatever excuse they may have. And I think their pro scouts have looked at the right games. He does make, like when he's in the offensive zone, I don't think he just is careless. I think he does try to make plays happen, and he does have some flashes of real nice offensive skill. So for me, I think Sanford, I think third pick if I'm trying to be like realistic, but I think some GM out there might give the Sens a second, but I think that's being a little overly optimistic. I'll say realistically a third or maybe even a fourth rounder.
I think a fourth is realistic, and like I can very much see Pittsburgh going for him.
Okay.
Like if I had to put my money on a team to go for him, it would be Pittsburgh.
Interesting.
I just feel that like they could see, he's had a hat trick this year. Like, let's put him on Malkin's wing.
He's had one hat trick this year. Playing with Malkin, he'll get more.
Exactly.
What about Nick Paul? Do you think the Sens re-sign him, or do you think it gets too close to the wire and they
I think they're going to re-sign him. I don't think they trade him at all. And I think he very well could walk, but I don't think that's a player that they're going to trade. I think if they were to trade him, he's a guy that could net you a third or a second round pick.
Okay. Yeah, I would agree with that. Okay, so next up we got a couple of RFAs. We have Dylan Gambrell and Adam Goodette, and we'll start with Gambrell. Do you think he stays put, or what happens to them?
Gambrell's gone. He's a guy that's plugged in. Maybe.
I mean, they traded a seventh rounder to get him. I don't really know.
Maybe he gets a seventh back. He walks at the end of the year.
Yeah, I think Gambrell
probably most likely.
So Adam Goodette, what do you think about him?
I like Goodette. I think he's actually improved his defensive play, and he's a guy you can keep around in your bottom six. He has the skill. He's playing with Stützle, and he played with Stützle and Tkachuk today, and he looked good. Like he wasn't out of place. So I keep Goodette around. I signed him to a 2-year, $1.75 million deal.
Damn, 1.75, eh?
Yeah, per year.
Really? Yeah. I don't even know if you get that on the market.
I think you would.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. I think Goodette should be a guy that they keep around as well. I think in a bottom six role, sometimes the offensive moves he pulls, I'm just like, damn, okay. Where did that come from? That slick pass that he got to Ennis not earlier this season, but a week or two ago, that was just really nasty. I think, Goodette is a guy you keep around and see what he can do in the bottom six next year. I know what you're already going to say about this pending free agent, and you know who it is. Tyler Ennis. What do you think happens with him?
2 to 3 year deal. 1.5 mil.
Sign Ennis long term.
Honestly, he's the type of leader. Him and Holden are the types of leaders that you want to keep around. I'll say this till the day I die, and if they let Ennis walk, it's a mistake. He is a guy that you should be signing for the next 2 years. And if he gets scratched in the last year, he gets scratched, but he's still a guy that people respect in the dressing room. You could see that in the Drake Batherson video. You could see that in his own video. People respect him. He was a hell of a player in Buffalo. And then he just kind of tailed off, but the skill is still there. He's still good defensively.
And the speed too. He's still got the
speed.
And also just his work ethic is just great. If you gave Tyler Ennis's work ethic and you put it into Zach Sanford's body, you have a tremendous hockey player.
If you put Tyler Ennis into Logan Brown, that's a number one center right there.
Yeah.
Tyler Ennis is everything you want in a player and more. And that's personally, like that's why you sign him. Like, I think he should be making more than Goodette personally, but I love Ennis. I think he's great. He's a good team guy. He's got a motor on him. You sign that.
Greatest to ever lace him up, that's for sure. So after him, we got Clark Bishop, but Clark Bishop just got put on waivers today. I don't really know. Like, I don't really think he's a marginal guy. I don't think anything will happen with him. Alex Formanton, I think it's a no-brainer. The Sens will re-sign him in the summer. Not even going to float his name out as trade bait. Josh Brown. We'll get to our defense. Do you think anybody in the league takes a chance on Josh Brown?
So this is the thing. This is the conversation we were having earlier. I think people that don't understand the Ottawa Senators would make a move for Josh Brown. He is a guy that just he looks lost out there if he's not with a good partner. Defensively, he's not great. He doesn't use his body nearly as much as he should be. He's 6'6", for God's sakes. That's a guy that should be pushing people around in front of the net, and he's consistently getting lost. So yeah, I think he's going to get moved for like a 6th or a 7th round pick. It's like Eric Goodbranson last year, like he was not good.
You know what surprised me though? Josh Brown, he's played over 30 games with the Sens this season. And plus minus isn't like a huge stat that I like to look at, but he's only a -4, which is like shocking to me.
Astonishing.
Decision making, sometimes you're just like, what is he doing? Why? And like tonight, even in the offensive zone, he fires that puck, and I swear the rest of the team's like, oh God, like get down.
Good God, that's Josh Brown's music.
Yeah. So he's kind of got a wild shot, but hey, if somebody wants to take a flyer on him for a late round pick, I could see it happening purely because he's a right hand shot, and I think those kind of guys are always in demand around the league. And teams who haven't really dialed in on Josh Brown or watch his game and just think that he's like a steady defensive guy, I think that's a no-brainer.
If Pierre Dorion and his pro scouting team are going to make a trade for him, other teams will too.
Yeah. I see a couple people commented. So Kevin, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. You didn't really miss much. I mean, the game was really tight. Tim Stützle's goal was really nice. That was a nasty top shelf goal. I love that he's kind of seems like he's heating up, which you like to see. PI Center says that he hopes Paul stays. We do too. We're really hoping that Paul sticks around. I'm not sure what kind of deal the Sens will want to give him or he'll take. I think I don't know if it was Frank Saravelli, but I think it might have been him who said that Nick Paul was offered a 3-year deal at $2 million a year and turned it down. So I think the Sens are going to have to up it a little bit. I really don't want the Sens to pay more than $2.5 million because while Paul has at the start of the season, his defensive capabilities actually worsened, I think, from last season. But lately, like over the past month, I think he's looked much better defensively and in the neutral zone, which is great. But I don't think you give a guy like that more than $2.5 million. So
I hope 2.75 at the very most. Like I really would hesitate giving that guy $3 million.
But I think 3 years is fair. I believe he's about 26 years old. So
he deserves consistency and some term.
Also, sorry, Kevin, you also said that you noticed the way Ennis plays the puck behind the net. Yeah, he's got really nifty hands. Like he can move the puck really quickly. Like it's too bad because I really think that Tyler Ennis is a victim of his own size. And I know earlier in this live stream we were defending Brancham about how the only knock on him was his size. But with Tyler Ennis, I don't say it in a bad way. I just genuinely think that Tyler Ennis is such a good player, but he was just if he just wasn't in a smaller body, he would be hugely impactful in a game.
Yeah,
like he would sign to $900,000 a season. He would be on like $4 or $5 million.
Yeah, he shouldn't be getting walk-on tryouts. He should be a guy that is like I remember the trade that Buffalo made. where Minnesota traded for him. Like he was a good player. Like he deserved the money he got, and he just kind of fell off. Size definitely plays a factor in the West, at least. And, in the East, it's not nearly as important, but like I would love to keep Tyler Ennis around for 2 years. So
for sure. PI Centers also says Goodette is nice, but he needs more strength. So
yeah, I think that's fair.
Yeah, I think it is. I also think sometimes Goodette, it's his decision making. I think sometimes is a little slower. Like sometimes he just decides to break the puck into the offensive zone, but I don't think he necessarily knows what to do next. And I think that the split-second decision-making holds him back a little bit, and the lack of that split-second decision-making. But, yeah, strength is something else he could work on. But at the end of the day, I think even for the player that he is right now, he's still a very useful depth player to the Sens. So, yeah, I have a lot of time to make the case that Goodette should be back next season as a depth player on the Sens. The next defenseman we'll focus in on, who is an RFA this offseason and is only 23, is Victor Mete.
I don't know. I think that's a guy who is a victim of his size, and just doesn't have nearly as much skill as a guy like Brandstrom, who can like play himself out of a phone booth. Whereas like Mete just doesn't think the game nearly as well as Brandstrom. I could see a team like giving him a go. If a team offers a sixth for him, like I think Dorion would take it, but I don't know. Yeah, Mete, like he deserves a chance, but yeah.
Yeah, I think when he came onto the Sens last year, he was looking to prove himself. Yeah. Montreal kind of did him dirty, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, he came into the Sens. He looked very competent at both ends of the ice. He could transition the puck really well. He wasn't getting the points on the board, but you could tell in the offensive end that he knew what he was doing with the puck. This season, it seems like he's taken a step back, and I don't know if it's just because he's bounced in and out of the lineup, up and down the lineup. Like one night he'll be playing first line minutes or first pairing minutes, and the next day he'll be scratched. Like I think it's just kind of up in the air for him, and bouncing around hasn't helped. But at the end of the day, he only has 6 points in about 30 games this season, and for a guy who really you brought him in because of his transition capabilities and his two-way play, he hasn't been enough for you. And if the Sens want to have, like, the rumor is that the Sens can only have, or any organization's roster can only have, one small defenseman. I think Brandstrom's the guy you keep. And I think DJ Smith, you can tell. The fact that Brandstrom played 27 minutes against the Bruins. Yeah. I'm not sure how many minutes he played against the Rangers today, but I'm sure it was an awful lot. He seemed to be on the ice a lot. I think that it's kind of, you can see the writing on the wall for Mete. If I were to say the Sens trade him, I guess I'm in agreement with you. I think, again, it's a mid to late round draft pick. The nice thing about him, again, he's only 23. He's an RFA. So whichever team picks up Mete, I think that they have a player they can at least work with. And I don't know. I'm not saying that it wouldn't work out in Ottawa. I just think there's too many guys that are in the pipeline that are going to pass him, and he just won't have a roster spot.
Just looking at Brandstrom got 23 minutes. So
yeah, okay.
Mete had 16.
PEI Center says DJ Smith's the only one who will give Josh Brown a chance. We probably think that, but honestly, I think their coaches around the league, for the most part, are recycled quite a bit. And I think most of the time, a lot of them still have that old school style of thinking. Yeah. When it comes to the playoffs, they want a defenseman who's big, who hits, and blocks shots, and he's right-handed. And I think that works in his favor, and I think that'll work in the Sens' favor. Now, I'm not saying the Sens will get a high pick for him, but I guarantee it'll be like Goodbranson, where I know Ottawa got a 7th rounder from Nashville, but I think it could be like that, where the Sens get a 5th, 6th, or 7th from a team, maybe out in the Western Conference, who doesn't get to watch a whole lot of Ottawa games. They see that he has a few points. His plus-minus isn't that bad for a team that's in the bottom 10 of the league. And I think they might just take a shot on him, just as a depth guy, having a 7th defenseman. I mean, I think Nashville did that with Borowiecki. I could be wrong, but they probably were like, hey, let's take a shot, sign this guy. And he just got a contract extension with them. And Goodbranson got a contract extension with sorry, that's not true. He signed with the Calgary Flames, and he's not a great defenseman, but he's a right shot defenseman who's big, hits, blocks shots. And I just think GMs and coaches still around the league are enamored by guys like that. So yeah. I think he'll get dealt, and I think that they'll actually get a late round pick for him, despite what Ottawa Senators fans think about him. I'm not even going to touch Eric Brandstrom. He better be re-signed, or I'm firing. I don't know. I'm getting Spartacat's little
everybody. Brandstrom was the most played defenseman today. So
good.
yeah.
So Brandstrom, if he's not re-signed, then I don't know what the hell the Sens are doing.
Yeah.
Last defenseman on our list here is Dylan Hetherington. I don't think that we can talk about him. Goaltenders, we talked about Anton Forsberg already. We could get into that again, but
no, I think it's like if you trade him, it's either a third or a fourth, and that's gonna.
Kevin's saying that he thinks Michael Del Zotto either gets traded or bought out. I don't think there will be a trade partner in the league. Michael Del Zotto is just an odd guy, still playing professional hockey with the Belleville Senators, and then you start a real estate business.
Yeah, I thought that was weird. That's really weird.
To me, it's okay, if you're a player who you signed with Ottawa because you said, I like where this team's headed, I think I can be a good presence on the blue line, and he really liked whatever the Sens were selling him. Okay. So then you decide that because you get sent down, you're going to like pictures or videos of your teammates getting burned. You're going to like comments that are like, oh, Ottawa's doing him dirty. He should be picked up by X team. You're going to make a real estate business in the middle of a season?
In Florida.
So weird. In Florida.
Florida.
So I think Michael Del Zotto, I don't think you need to buy out his contract. I think you just bury him in the minors next season too. Who knows? Maybe he'll just retire and go into real estate, but I doubt it. I think he wants that guaranteed money from the Sens. So I think they'll probably just bury his contract in the minors. Who knows? I don't know. I don't think Michael Del Zotto is worth any more of our time.
Yeah, I would agree.
Nick Paul, you think Nick Paul wants 4 or 5 years?
I feel like that's more than I'm willing to admit to.
Yeah, I think 3 years is fair for Nick Paul. If Nick Paul wants more than 3 years, I think I don't know. I look at Blake Coleman and I look at Barclay Goodrow and how they each signed 6-year deals as depth players, and you just can't do that. You can't do that with depth. And if Nick Paul is saying, guys, look, I want 4 or 5 years, 4 or 5 years at $3 million, I think you just have to move on. And I know people won't get that answer. I like Nick Paul a lot, but you can't be paying a depth player that much, especially when you know that next year you're going to have to re-sign Norris for, let's just hypothetically say, anywhere from $6 to $7 million. If possibly even more. I'm not really sure what Norris is looking for. You're going to have to sign Stützle to an extension, and you're going to give him probably good money because what he's shown you so far is that he's the most offensively dynamic player that your roster has had since Erik Karlsson.
Yeah.
So he's going to want money. You're going to need to extend Artem Zub.
You got to extend Brandstrom.
Connor Brown. Yeah, I don't think Brandstrom's that expensive yet.
The list goes on, though.
But there's players coming up who you're going to want re-signed. Chris Tierney. No, I'm just kidding. throw a little curveball in there. But I think there's players on there that you're going to want to re-sign, and they're going to take up cap. Formanton. I didn't even mention Formanton. What's he going to get on his next contract? I have no idea. At least $3 million, I think, for Formanton. So once you see all these guys who need contracts, I think you just can't give Nick Paul that much money. I like him a lot. I've met him. Humble brag. You can't. Also, that guy's a giant. I'm a small king. That guy's big. He's a big boy.
Yeah. I think that kind of touches it.
I think we basically covered a lot there. I know some people joined in after we talked about all the Pierre Dorion sitting in on the Minnesota Wild in person. Oh, actually, there's one more topic we can bring up. Today, Pierre Dorion was spotted at the 67s game. Obviously, Tyler Boucher was playing today, and from all accounts that I've heard, had a fairly decent game. But there was another player who was playing that game who is supposed to be a potential first or second round pick in this year's draft, and that is right-handed defenseman Ty Nelson, who plays for the North Bay Battalion. So I'm wondering if it was also a scouting day for that guy, because he's been highly regarded by some.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. And I know a lot of people were like, "Oh yeah, Boucher had a really good game." Dude, like the guys in the OHL, like he should be scoring. Has he put up a point yet?
I think he's only played like 2 games, because the first game he played, I think he hit a guy high. I don't know if he got suspended.
No, he got hurt. He didn't get suspended.
Yeah,
I was like, this guy is going to get suspended in his 3rd game, but I think he's played 4 games. I don't think he has a point yet. And I mean, that is a guy that if Minnesota was like, yeah, we're looking for a high pick sort of thing, I'd be like, yeah, Tyler Boucher can go.
Yeah, but I also don't know if players value, like, I know Tyler Boucher is still extremely young, but I don't know if he's seen like, oh yeah, that guy was taken 10th overall. I just don't know, but it's a possibility. But yeah, that's really about it that I had on that. I just thought we should bring that up. You recognize? Oh yeah, Kevin, I forgot you're at the 67s game today. Yeah, that's funny that they showed him on the camera. But yeah, we'll end it on that. Thanks everyone for watching. Really appreciate it. If you were in the giveaway, we did announce the giveaway. I wish I had timestamped it, but about in the middle of the episode, after we talked about Anton Forsberg, I believed we pulled the name. So congrats again to Chris P, who won the card giveaway. If you're in the chat, we'll reach out to you on Twitter or whatever. And yeah, thanks everybody for watching. Really appreciate it. And hopefully, a little teaser here. Next week, we may have a guest on the podcast who we haven't had before. But hopefully some of you tune into that one. We'll be posting on YouTube and, of course, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all of that stuff. And we'll be posting it on Twitter and Reddit and Instagram, Facebook, all the platforms. So make sure to follow us on those, that you can see when the new episode is out with our guest. We miss Borough 2 PI Centers. He seems like a really genuinely nice guy. So
yeah. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in, and I think things to come are going to be dope.
Very prophetic.
Yeah.
All right, thanks everybody. Have a good night. Go Sens go. Tuesday they play the Wild. Let's see what happens. Peace, everybody.
Sens go.
Go Sens go.